Welcome into DC On Screen, episode 204. This is a show about the DC Universe properties being brought to film and television. I am your host, David C. Robertson, and for the first time ever, my co-host Jason Goss is not here with me today. Jason wanted to be here, but his job kept him from recording this week. Luckily, we do have a guest host, Mr. Scott Matteson, a cat goodly enough to sharpen his claws on our scratching post this week. Scott, how are we?
Doing all right. I have to admit, you did not let me know beforehand that this was the first time that someone else has substituted for either of you guys.
Yeah, this
on
this
show.
time.
That is, I'm pretty sure that Simply Syndicated Movie News, I think our first either empty seat or substitution was somewhere in our single digits of episodes.
Wow.
And this, you get 204. Geez.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. And Christopher White, once again, is going to hate me for this.
I talk to Chris probably 3 or 4 times a week at this point. We've become good friends. And, you know, he was like, well, you know, I'm there, buddy, if you need me. And I said, well, I do have Scott lined up. And he was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So he was okay. He was all right with it.
On the surface. I'm kidding, Chris. You're awesome. You're fantastic, Chris.
So yeah. So you not only do the syndicated news, you do Next Time. Can you tell us about that real quick?
Yep. That would be my solo independent podcast, Next Time, the comic book television prediction podcast, where instead of reviewing the comic book-based television shows that have aired in the previous week, I aim to predict what is going to happen on the upcoming episode of comic book-based television shows. Some people might be confused because none of them are airing right now, but that's okay, because at present I am looking ahead to predict the individual series in a full season format. And when the shows begin premiering September, October, I'll begin the week-to-week predictions for what's coming on next. We've got, what do we have? We have Arrow and Supergirl,
Mm-hmm.
and Gotham, Lucifer, all those series, and I think a couple more that I've missed, already covered,
Mm-hmm.
with a few bonus episodes that we've done with you.
Absolutely.
In fact, you and Jason appeared on our episode looking ahead at Arrow,
Mm-hmm.
and then you came on for a bonus episode discussing Batman: The Killing Joke and Star Trek Beyond. I think 2 of my more downloaded episodes that I've put out. So, appreciations for that.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't know that. It's my first time knowing that those were received well, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they seem to be popular. I'm sure that the keyword Star Trek probably helped out with that one. Though I hope you will understand when I say that if I can get a bonus episode for The Human Target, that will probably win out as far as downloads, and I think we know why.
I don't know why.
Oh, well, this would have to do with a little bit of Twitter attention that I got over the past week.
Oh, why don't you tell us about that quickly?
You know about it already with one of my favorite Facebook instant messages that I've received, #CashThatCheck.
Mm-hmm.
When it was announced that episode 5 of Arrow season 5 was going to feature the DC character Christopher Chance, known as the Human Target, that got me really excited. I did, when it originally aired, watch that full 7-episode run of the Human Target starring Rick Springfield that you guys mentioned last week. And I did watch both seasons of 2010's Human Target with Mark Valley, which I don't really consider the Human Target because the character of Christopher Chance uses makeup and impersonation skills and improvisation to become another person.
Right.
On that show with Mark Valley, he just showed up and essentially said, yeah, I'm an associate of this person over here, so I'm going to come in and fix this. He would just pretend that he was someone who knew them. He never looked any different. That's not the Human Target.
Right.
But all of this pales in comparison to the DC Vertigo run of Human Target, which took a decades-old character, decades-old detective and impersonator character, and made it one of the most mind-bending identity crisis stories that I've ever read. I won't go into details about the story because everyone should go and read it, but it started with a 4-issue miniseries written by Peter Milligan, which many comic fans might know from Hellblazer, Justice League Dark, X-Force, Ecstatics, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my human target. That's my preferred iteration of the character.
Sure.
So when that announcement was made about him coming to Arrow, I did send out a tweet saying, now that they've announced human target coming to Arrow, everyone should go read the Peter Milligan Vertigo run of the comic. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 1 like on that tweet. Now, granted, I don't have a whole lot of followers.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I think, less than 30 followers so far on my Next Time Twitter. But one person clicked like for that tweet. It was Peter Milligan.
That's awesome, man.
that kind of knocked me over, and I tweeted to that effect, saying, "At one Peter Milligan liked my tweet about him. My day is made. If he showed up on my podcast, my decade would be made." I got 1 reply to that tweet. Guess who it was?
Man.
Excellent. Well done. Good guess. Good guess. It was Peter Milligan who replied, quote, "That could be arranged."
Have you had any more talks with him? Is this going to happen?
I have not had more communication with him yet. I wanted to give it a minute. I didn't want to seem too eager. You know, you got to play hard to get. Also, I've had some scheduling and family commitments that have not really allowed me to, jump out there and start negotiations. I didn't want to send a message and then be unavailable for 4 days.
Yeah.
So I had to hold off. But I fully expect to be trying to get in touch with him sometime within the next week.
Shit. Bonus number 3 with Peter Milligan coming soon, kids. Oh my lord. You're going to have an honest to God celebrity on your show, man.
I'm hoping so, and hopefully it'll work better than last time I had a celebrity. My very first podcast, I had a stand-up comedian and former contestant on Last Comic Standing,
Ooh.
who I was able to persuade to come on my show with me and my then co-host. It was okay, but I felt rather out of my depth back then. I think I might have been too green when it comes to podcasting to actually have a guest, but this time I'm ready.
All right. And, it was a funny thing when you were talking about Peter Milligan, I was like, that's awesome. And then quite by accident, I stumbled upon the realization that the first Batman story I ever got as a kid was a Peter Milligan, like in comic book form, was a Peter Milligan run, The Idiot Route, which unfairly gets a lot of shit from people like, oh, The Idiot sucked. I'm like, no, The Idiot was awesome. It's like, that was some trippy acid shit, man.
Yeah, the odd way that things line up in that way.
Yeah.
It always takes you by surprise.
But anyway, so this episode is, as all of them are, sponsored by Loot Crate. With Loot Crate, you get collectibles, apparel, and more from your favorite pop culture franchises delivered right to your door every single month. You know what Loot Crate is. We're talking a new t-shirt.
I know what Loot Crate is.
Yeah. I know you know. There's a new t-shirt in every crate, figures, comics, stuff for your kitchen, a wide range of exclusive items you can't get anywhere else from fan favorite franchises like, it's hard to say, fan favorite franchises like Harry Potter, Marvel Comics, or DC Comics, Fallout 4, Star Wars, and so much more. You can get all of this for less than $20 a month. Guys, go to lootcrate.com/giant size team up. Enter the code giant size team up, and we're going to save you like $3 on every new subscription. So before we jump into the news, I swear this is the last thing. We received a review on our iTunes page. We are running a contest, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But we received a review on our iTunes page. It was a 1-star review from someone calling themselves Fatty Acid 23.
I do enjoy that name, though, I have to say.
I do like that name. They said, I've been a listener for a good while now. If these guys are going to mock or jab on somebody's religion, I'm done. I'll stick to my other DC podcasts. And I read that review, and I felt really terrible. Not because it was a negative review. We've gotten those before. I'm used to that. But if someone doesn't like you because of an opinion, about a stupid television show or a movie, or if they're just picking you apart, that's fine. We don't want to lose that listener, but I feel like that can't be avoided because you can't please everybody. But what this was, unfortunately, was me alienating someone. And what's worse, I'm a person of faith myself. So I know what it's like to be attacked for that. I'm not of the faith that I made a crack at, but one of vaguely similar credence. And as much as I would like to say that this was a harmless, playful, interdenominational swipe or jab, it wasn't that. It was just an unfunny joke that ignorantly prodded at a faith and misrepresented the tenets of that faith. I even went back and looked into it. The joke doesn't make sense. I won't repeat the joke. I'm not going to edit it out of last week's show, though. It's there, so if you guys want to go check that out, I guess that's kind of a plug. It's not meant that way, but it's arguably not worth the extra time I've spent on it here, but while the joke wasn't, I think Fatty Acid 23 and any other listener I might have offended was worth it, or is worth it. I don't really care about the download numbers as far as this is concerned. It's nice to have, but Jason and I don't ever want to alienate anyone for their religious beliefs. I kind of feel like I let the fans down. I let Jason down because I know he's not down with that shit. I should have edited that out. I mean, I can't say it'll never happen again. I'm human. I'm an idiot. But I am really sorry to anyone who was offended. So we just want to do a show that, informs and entertains in regards to DCU stuff. And I screwed that up for some people, and that sucks. So I'm sorry.
Well, if it helps, if it makes you feel any better, I missed the joke entirely. So
yeah, a few people did. Because it wasn't funny. It was stupid. It was a one-line deal, and then we moved right on without even a second thought until I got that review. And I had to go back and listen to the other show to even figure out what was going on. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, shit, that was what I said. I'm an idiot. So, I'm sorry, guys. So, it looks like DC Entertainment is going to be holding some kind of big event. It's going to be an 8-hour DC All Access event on its YouTube channel to bring fans all of the latest and greatest DC news, they're saying. They recently got their 1 millionth subscriber. Don't know what I don't know what they're going to bring out. It's going to be 8 hours long, though.
That's incredible. When I first read that story, at first I thought, who's got time for that? Second, I thought I would if it were at all possible. I would make time to sit down and watch something like that.
Right.
The third thought that I had, though, was this is a really smart and clever way of going about it. I mean, considering the fact that, the only real difference between this 8-hour live YouTube event that they're going to do and a panel at Comic-Con is the amount of time you have to wait in a line for it. Everything else is essentially the same. It's going to be people sitting in front of a camera and announcing everything that's going to be coming over the next who knows how many months. And then every professional and amateur news outlet on the internet is going to write stories about it. And stories are all going to say the same thing. They're going to have the same quotes, and you're going to get the same information. So whether you watch it from a live feed or read the write-ups about it afterward, you're going to get the same information. And this way, you don't have to drop plane fare, hotel accommodation cost, and then wait in long lines to sit with a couple hundred other people and see the same thing. This is, I think, how they should start releasing their news instead of going to Comic-Con and asking people very politely, please don't record this and then upload a bootleg to the internet. Let's just make it official right here.
Right.
Everyone just sit down, watch it. This is the actual feed with good cameras and good sound, and you can still see exactly what you're going to see at a convention. I think this is what they should be doing.
Yeah. I think we're moving closer to that every day, though. So, I mean, it's what it looks like it's going to be in the next few years and it's already here, kind of. So, September 2nd at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when this is going to be happening. So, I guess that's going to be a Friday. So, I guess call in sick. So, I didn't put this in your rundown, but the Monolith is becoming a film.
Remind me, I don't know why this is not coming to my head. Help me out.
The Monolith, which was basically like a Golem story. Like, this girl moves into her grandmother's house, her dead grandmother's house, and she like reads her grandmother's diary and finds out about this golem creature that her grandmother used. And she starts calling upon it, and it's just this giant gray creature. It was done by gosh, who was it? I've got it somewhere here actually, and I knew it.
Yep.
Jay Palmiotti.
Justin,
that was it.
Justin Gray and Jimmy
Justin
Palmiotti.
Gray.
Yep. I'm looking at it and realize I recognize it, but I haven't read it. I knew it was somewhere in the back. I know I'd seen it before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure it started out as an actual DC Universe property, but there's a whole storyline where the Monolith is like helping Nightwing out in Bloodhaven. So it's there, guys. It's in there. But I don't think this is going to be a DCEU movie. This looks like Lionsgate is producing this, which is a weird choice, and it's kind of just an odd thing, and I don't know what this is going to become.
Well, we can hope that it will become a clever and innovative standalone film based on a comic book property, and not a movie that is intended from the start to be a trilogy, like everything else is these days. But at the same time, we're at risk of it being another forgettable comic book based film that will fit the same formula and pattern of so many others, and then drift into forgettable obscurity shortly thereafter. I mean,
they have tapped Dave Wilson of the creative director of Blur Studios to direct the film. It's being written by Barnett Bretler. I don't know that cat. So
yeah, these are unfamiliar names to me, but sometimes it takes the people that you've never heard of to cook up something that is really going to grab everyone's attention. If they can find
Blur Studio, they did Deadpool. It's run by Tim
I already
Miller.
feel better. You see, you've lifted me up on your Deadpool wings of glory.
That's what we'll call it. Deadpool wings of glory. So yeah.
One of the great independent comic book film success stories that I've ever heard of. It used to be the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now it's Deadpool.
Sort of. Deadpool's still Marvel, though. I mean,
true. The source material is from one of the bigger studios, but the film itself proves that you don't need the full force of Marvel Studios and thus Disney Studios to make a successful film. You can come out of nowhere with a budget that most people would scoff at when it comes to making a movie and say, you know what, we'll just go ahead and take $1 billion.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of which...
$1 billion? I'll take it.
Yeah, I wish I had it to give, which I wouldn't give it. I just hoard it. No, that's not true. I would give it to several comic book companies over a long period of time. So, Suicide Squad has apparently lost the weekend to Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe did $10 million on Friday from like 3,501 theaters. They got a $22 million weekend. So yeah, Suicide Squad is 3 and done. Looks like for the top spot, unless it comes back next week. But it looks like Don't Breathe is going to have legs.
Yeah, I haven't heard all that much about Don't Breathe, but that I find myself saying that more and more of late. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm just not as plugged in as I used to be.
You're getting old, man.
Exactly. As my wife delights in pointing out by mentioning the increasing amount of gray on my face and head. She insists that she likes it, but I don't know.
Hey, man, I'd rather have gray than what I've got going on. I've got thinning. I'm like, come on, no, just go gray. Just go, don't go away.
We have to know that Suicide Squad was not going to last forever in the top spot. I think the fact that it got 3 weeks as a number one was more than a lot of people expected it would get. So,
and David Ayer did just come out and say it passed 600 million at the global box office. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this thing isn't a failure.
Yeah,
critically,
it's
but not.
it's definitely performing better than a lot of people expected it would. Oddly enough, performing better than a lot of people say that it's performing. Not that they're necessarily giving numbers, but people say, "Oh, Suicide Squad, it was a flop. It didn't succeed." And I look at these numbers saying, it seems to be doing pretty good to me.
Yeah, and last I heard, 600 million was the threshold where Warner Brothers would say it was a success. That's what I'm hearing. So, guess what? It's a success.
Yeah, the trouble is, to so many critics out there, the line of demarcation between flop and success, and there's no in between. There's no moderate success. It's just either you're an outstanding runaway success or you're a flop. It's going to be one or the other. And that line is $1 billion.
Which is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Right, but the trouble is, because it happened with Avengers, that becomes the new standard. If you don't do as well as the greatest comic book movie that was ever made, then you're nothing. And
it's like the $1 billion mark has been hit with 4 of like the 13 Marvel movies. Give it a rest. Like there actually, if you look at how much money Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad made, I think it's like, I don't know. I can't remember the number. I know it's outpaced the first 3 Marvel movies for sure. It's somewhere around the $2 billion mark.
Right. And a lot of people online seem to also be skipping over the fact that Suicide Squad is pulling in the numbers that it is without being released in China.
But also, by the way, just now being released in Japan. All right, so Suicide Squad, Buddha Jones has released the end credits for the movie and the video effects highlight reel on Vimeo. I'll put up a link to those, but they have some fun little Easter eggs in there. It's kind of fun to see the different objects, like playing cards and mallets and syringes flying around during the end credit sequence. It's interesting to watch, and it's your chance to go check that out before the DVD and Blu-ray comes out. So
this is the kaleidoscope type effect from the closing credits. Yeah. Okay.
And a highlight reel for the video effects. So stuff that we saw during the trailers, like the on-screen text.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of that stuff.
That's the type of special feature that I will go and seek out and watch online, because one of my favorite parts about Suicide Squad was the visual style that they gave it, with the VFX especially. Those ending credits with the kaleidoscope, really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun just taking in everything that they were throwing on the screen. Words, I don't care about the words. Forget the words. I can get that on IMDb. I can't get the mallets and the syringes going around in circles. Ooh.
I want to see those skulls, y'all. So Rolling Stone Brazil posted a picture, and it's been trending this week. They posted an uncropped picture of Joker and Harley. It's from the helicopter scene in the movie. It was kind of more of a sweet scene. People are freaking out because this picture suggests that there was abuse in the Joker-Harley relationship, and to that I say no shit.
Right.
And the picture, he's grabbing her arm and he's scolding her. He's got his finger in her face. Dude, that's Joker. That's Joker and Harley. How do you not know this? Like
that's what it should have been. And I was surprised that it was not more prominent and prevalent in the film.
Well, apparently it didn't rate well with the test audiences, because no matter how you depict
they're not
it,
familiar.
No matter how you depict it, watching physical abuse in a movie saps the fun out of everything. And after Batman v Superman, I think Warner Brothers freaked out and were like, "Well, we can't have this." It's just too dark.
I can understand that being the reactions. Oh, with the way people have been reacting to Batman v Superman, we should make sure that they like as much as possible in this new movie. Now, so I can understand, but at the same time, being someone who is rather familiar with the Joker-Harley relationship from the animated series and the comics, I did find it to be very softened in the film.
It didn't feel softened to me. It felt like they just didn't touch on it, and that was okay. But, I mean, you kind of get an idea of it, the way he throws her down on the bed and tells her he's just going to hurt her real, real bad. He's threatening enough verbally to suggest, to me at least, the physical abuse. But, I could have dealt with more of it. Not because I really want to see it, but just because those are the characters, and I think there's an overwhelming amount of girls who romanticize the Joker-Harley relationship in a way that I don't think is really healthy.
Yeah, that's true. And when I hear things like that, I always cross my fingers and hope that they're doing that because they just haven't seen all of it. Mm-hmm. They'll see pin-up images or covers. Like, for example, that classic Alex Ross cover of Joker in the tuxedo and Harley in the Jester's outfit. And they'll think, oh, look at that, how sweet. They're made for each other. But they don't see the episode of the animated series where he just shoves her off the table because, ain't nobody got time for that.
He's working on a plan to take down Batman.
Right, Joker does not have time for your shit, Harley. Boom, off the table.
Come on, Mr. Nice. J. Don't you want to rev up your Harley?
I laugh to cover up my discomfort at hearing you say that.
Have you seen that they've turned Mad Love into a giant size coloring book for adults?
No.
They have, and it's like pristine, black and white, wonderful artwork. But they have all of those scenes with her in the nightie. Like, if I was a kid, as an adult, I would feel awkward trying to color that.
Right, I probably would as well. Now, having said that, I may have to go and find that coloring book. It's not creepy, people. Back off.
Oh yeah, they've got one of Hush too. So it's like they've got like badass Jim Lee artwork. I want both of them. As a kid who was always going to the store and picking up crappy looking coloring books and going like, "Oh, these look awful." Why can't they just take the inks from
coloring books of like. Yeah, it looks like middle school grade art. Not to say that all middle schoolers are bad artists. I know I was when I was in middle school, but not everyone is. But the standard for art in a lot of current comic books or coloring books is not that great. I've often seen coloring books and thought, how can a person submit to these publishers for coloring? I can put together some sketches and make a word jumble and a maze and use the same pose for Venom in like 8 pages throughout this coloring book. I could do that, but I've never figured out how one does that. Hey, listeners, if anyone knows how to submit for a coloring book, let us know.
Honestly, I think what they do a lot of times, like you'll be flipping through and it's like you see an Art Adams or you see a Jim Lee that you know is a Jim Lee drawing, but they've clearly just had somebody trace over it so they don't have to pay Jim Lee.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, that's why I want new coloring books, because new adult coloring books are awesome.
Yeah.
And was what I always wanted when I was a kid. So anyway, yeah. So the Suicide Squad cast have been talking about the deleted scenes, their favorite deleted scenes. Will Smith and Jay Hernandez joked about a love scene between Deadshot and Rick Flag. Margot Robbie had apparently an entire dance routine that was almost entirely cut. The scene where she's in the club dancing, apparently there's a whole routine that she had to learn and was dismayed to find it cut. Jai Courtney says there's a bit where he says something to Croc and Croc swats them into a huge stack of plastic containers. And Karen Fukuhara said that was intense, and that's gone. Jared Leto said he thinks they could fill an entire DVD with the deleted scenes. He says there are a lot of surprises, and with that, a lot of mistakes. So I think a lot of fun accidents, too.
Jared seems to be saying a lot of stuff, though.
Yeah, I think it seems like he's kind of pull him back on some of the stuff he was saying before. Maybe they came out and said, "Hey, man, so could you shut the hell up about like being negative and stuff?" Maybe I don't know. Maybe not.
I have a suspicion. It would not surprise me if Warner Brothers execs had gone to him after, all the grumbling and the belly aching he had been doing about how much Joker stuff was cut. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if some of them went to Jared Leto and said, we can recast you anytime.
Mm-hmm. In the comic books, there are 3 Jokers.
Right. I mean, we've had the facial scars Joker with Heath Ledger, and now we have a more like a dark twist on the animated series Joker with Jared Leto. That's my take on it. We still have not had it takes off his own face and tapes it and staples it back on Joker. We haven't gotten him yet. Mm-hmm. They could cast someone else for that. I wouldn't mind seeing a Doug Liman Joker. No, I'm sorry, Doug Jones. Doug Liman is the director. Doug Jones is the actor. I wouldn't mind seeing what he could do with it.
Jason and I have always kind of stayed away from fan casting on this show, even though I've always wanted to do it. I think Jason always thinks like, who cares what we think about fan casting? And he might be right. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it. Alan Tudyk as the Joker.
That could work. That could definitely work. And that could be a brilliant tie-in with Powerless as well.
Ooh.
Just let the first season of Powerless end with the big reveal that he's been the Joker all along.
That would be kind of awesome. But yeah, have you seen Dollhouse, the Joss Whedon series?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you've seen Alan Tudyk as Alpha. Man, oh my lord, like he and Whiskey, Joker and Harley all over.
I hadn't thought of it until you said it, but now that you said it, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you look at Alan Tudyk in Death at a Funeral or whatever it was, he plays like sort of a British character, and he gets stoned, and he gets full of acid, I think. He takes acid accidentally somehow and winds up on a roof naked and laughing hysterically. Like just being completely out of his mind. And all I heard was Mark Hamill's Joker the entire time. Anyway, moving on. Giancarlo Espisito said that he wanted to be in the Suicide Squad movie. He did play Black Spider in Batman Assault on Arkham. So Warner Brothers, how are you not gonna have Gus Fring
right
on Suicide Squad? Rectify this for Suicide Squad 2. He says he wants to come back.
I think that would have even if you just get him for a minute, you take out Slipknot and you replace it with Black Spider. Anyone who saw the Assault on Arkham animated movie will think, "Oh, Black Spider. Well, he's going to be in it for quite a bit." And it's Giancarlo Esposito. They're not going to get rid of him. They're going to have him through the whole movie. So then, when his head goes pop, sorry, spoilers.
Right.
Then. You're going to be taken off guard. Whoa, Gus Fring just went kaboom. Yeah. You wouldn't see it coming.
Except Black Spider was really kind of cool, so I'd kind of rather them let him stick around for a minute.
True. As if nothing else, at the very least they could have gone the surprise route instead of the Slipknot route, which is a villain we've never heard of and a guy who doesn't show up in hardly any of the trailer content. I wonder.
See, I think they should push in that little redirect a little more next time, but,
Yeah.
Gal Gadot has released a picture of Wonder Woman smiling in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, behind the scenes image. I wouldn't really usually mention it, but she's pretty. It's a good picture. And also might be using it for the cover art for this episode. Justice League Dark, apparently in full force here. No official word from Warner Brothers, but Doug Liman is directing. This is the cat that did Edge of Tomorrow. He's going to be doing Edge of Tomorrow too. Jumper. I didn't care for Jumper. I don't care for the Bourne movies, which he's a producer on. I don't think I saw Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I didn't see Go.
I've seen most.
But Swingers is one of my favorite movies.
To go back to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I've seen most of it, not all of it. Moving past the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, I'm pretty sure that's the movie where they met and started their relationship, blah blah blah. Moving past all that, It's a well put together action film, though at the same time, I think I would have been more entertained if they had decided to make it a sequel to True Lies.
Ooh.
If you cast Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis and call it True Lies 2, and you find a way to manipulate the story to make it believable that the two of them would be fighting each other, then that could have been... I would have gone to see it. I did not go see Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the theater. I would have gone to see True Lies 2 if that's what it had been.
Yeah. Which is why we can't get away from sequels.
Yeah.
The studios know that we can't break away from our brand recognition. We won't see anything original. A great example of this, Edge of Tomorrow, which was directed by Doug Liman. Fantastic movie. I don't like Tom Cruise. I liked this movie.
Yeah.
This was a good movie. And it was marketed terribly. No one went to see it. No one cared because it didn't have a recognizable name attached to it. As far as... it doesn't matter that Tom Cruise was in it. People were just like, okay.
Yeah, if they had done what they ended up doing after the fact, which is they've essentially replaced the title with their tagline, and if they had done that, if they had done that from the start, if they had marketed the film as Live, Die, Repeat, I 100% believe they would have gotten a much better response at the box office.
They may have. Of course, I kind of wonder what would have happened if they'd named it the original name from the book. All You Need Is Kill. Which is kind of a terrible name, but I kind of really love it in a weird way.
I think
so. Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
I think that would have gotten more business as well. All You Need Is Kill. People would go just because, well, that sounds like a badass movie. I'm going to go see it.
Right. Michael Giglio, known for his short, quick stop, Jolene, and No Sleep Till Matteson, is going to be writing Justice League Dark. So a relative newbie, but they're backed with Scott Rudin as producer. No Country for Old Men and Truman Show, Grand Budapest Hotel, Social Network. This is a producer who has tried.
Yeah, he's made his bones
a heavy
for
hitter.
Sure, and on movies that I would trust.
Now, they haven't said what the lineup for Justice League Dark is going to be. I would assume it would be Constantine, Satana, Swamp Thing, your standard lineup, Dead Man. But they Warner Brothers doesn't have an actual comment on this at this time, so I guess it's still kind of technically rumor. Ron Perlman says he's not playing Swamp Thing as far as he knows. Guillermo del Toro is not involved with this anymore. So,
which is a shame. That would have been a big draw.
It is. It would have been. I like Guillermo del Toro a lot, so I would have liked to have seen his version of this.
In fact, to come in
but
here
I didn't
and,
like
and
the
start
Hellboy
this
movies,
episode.
So
to come in here and start this episode, I had to walk away from the final fight scene of Hellboy 2 in the living room.
See, I don't like the Hellboy movies. I don't know why. They were visually interesting, but maybe I just never connected to the characters. I don't know.
Well, I had an easy time connecting because I'm a pyrokinetic who lives underwater. So
yeah, well, there's that. Over to the Flash movie. Again, rumor, but Humberto Gonzalez, El Mayimbe, over at the, he used to be at Heroic Hollywood, I guess now he's of the Rap, is saying that it looks like in Rick Famuyiwa's The Flash, they will not only have one villain, they'll have the Rogues, specifically the Rogues. I'm assuming that no rogues were actually named in this. There are lots of different rogues. Mirror Master, the Top,
Captain Cold,
Captain Boomerang. We've already met Captain Boomerang. Captain Cold. One of my favorite bits from Justice League is the Trickster, as voiced by Mark Hamill, grumbling at a bar that they would have taken him seriously if he was a captain.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they will put. I'm hoping they put a scene like that in the Flash movie, where at just one point, instead of punching the villains at super speed, there's gonna be one guy he just sits down at the bar with and has a discussion. Say, you're off your meds, and that's bad. How about this? If you promise me that you'll go back on your meds and tell me this information that I need, I will come and visit and we'll play cards or something. And he's like, okay, sounds good. You got me again, Flash.
That is one of my favorite scenes of anything ever, is just finish your drink and go home. And he just raises his his mug. Got me again, Flash. Glug, glug, glug.
And the fact that in that episode of the animated series, they designed the Trickster to look very much like Mark Hamill's depiction in the 90s live-action Flash TV series. That was amazing.
Oh, yeah. They just drew him to look like Mark Hamill. On to television. We're already talking about television anyway. So, Justice League. Gotham, there's a ton of TV news here. Gotham is going to be on Netflix Season 2, September 19th, which is the day that it premieres, Season 3 premieres on television. Mm-hmm. That doesn't really help us out very much, but apparently that's going to change soon. David Mazouz has been talking about his role as Bruce Wayne. They're going to be pushing way more into the Playboy persona. He says, I don't want to give away too much, but basically what's going to happen is, well, we know Bruce Wayne in the comic books has this Richie Rich smoke and mirrors persona, which is used to cover up the Batman persona. So if anybody ever, in a million years, suspects him, they would say, oh, wait, no, he's not that drunken Playboy. But was that ever really him? Was that the real him? Did that ever actually happen? Was it ever a reality? And so what we're going to do in Gotham is we're going to play with that Playboy persona, Party Boy persona, and it's not going to be used to cover up secret affairs that are going on, secret investigations, or secret fighting with evil. It's going to be a reality. We haven't shot much of it yet, but it'll be coming towards the middle of the season. That's cool. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. I'm assuming it plays out with him becoming Batman at some point. There's a little prediction for your show, Scott.
Next time on Gotham, Batman.
I wish. He's also talking about playing his Doppleganger. The Doppleganger, spoilers, we saw at the end of Season 2. Mm-hmm. He says, in terms of fun, definitely the Doppelganger has been more fun to play. I don't want to give away too much, but this character is nothing like Bruce Wayne. The only similarity that they have is that they look shockingly like David Mazouz. Everything else about them, they think differently, they talk differently, they walk differently, they communicate differently. He's pretty weird, the other guy. It was hard at first figuring out what to do because I didn't want to overdo it, but I wanted to have a strong distinction between Bruce and this other character. It was a battle figuring out how exactly to play this character, but it's been so much fun. He also says that they do have scenes together. He says, oh yeah, and that was weird. I played both roles against myself more than once, and it was really weird. You'll see. Our next piece of news from Gotham is kind of controversial. It pissed me off when I read it. Bruno Heller, the showrunner on Gotham, says, quote, I don't think superheroes work very well on television.
And I just about stopped reading the article right there.
Right? Probably because of the costume thing. He says that TV is about real people and faces and not so much about magic and the supernatural things.
Ooh, a little dig at Arrow Season 4 right there.
Yeah. He says that's why he chose James Gordon as the focus character of the show. He says the tricky thing about Gotham is that it has to be both a crime procedural and a mythic, epic, grand comic book saga. It's a tricky combination because you have to keep it real and unreal at the same time. Every season is moving toward the world in which Batman has to emerge to save the day. So every season is doubling down on the chaos and anarchy that is overtaking Gotham. So things keep getting worse. As for Gordon, he says Gordon becomes a bounty hunter looking for those monsters that escaped. Was fun to write as the morale and sort of psychological collapse of Gordon. He said, as far as who he writes the show for, the comic book constituency has become so large and visible that the whole Comic-Con thing, that is very easy to assume that the audience is purely comic book enthusiasts, but I operate the show on the basis that it is a mistake to just go there. So he tries to write for both the comic book fans and the broader audiences. He says, what we're trying to do is always give little Easter eggs, little gifts every episode of the real cognoscenti, but you don't need to know more than the basic Batman myth. His statements, like, oh, that's fine, except for his statements, which is, I guess, still fine, but superheroes don't work very well on television. I disagree.
So do I.
Over the costume thing, over the supernatural thing, because there's never been a supernatural show that was a hit. Buffy, Angel, Supernatural,
right?
There are plenty of shows that, Sleepy Hollow was a hit. It didn't stay a hit because the show sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But
I didn't watch it, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't. This article, this quote, sounds like someone who he doesn't want to say, I don't like comic books and I'd really prefer to not be doing the show, because he wants to, continue having his job. But if you get him in an unguarded moment, he'd be like, I'm stuck doing this comic book crap. Oh, this is lame. Why can't I just do a regular show?
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting, though, that he says this stuff when, he's bringing in all these monsters who have costumes. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you pushing it further into that Schumacher-esque territory if you have an issue with that?
Yeah, what was one of the more popular moments of season 2? Well, that would be when Azrael showed up in full costume.
Yep.
People loved that moment. And it not just the diehard comic book people, but people who came to the show because they were interested to see what was going to happen with it. And then Azrael shows up in costume, and it was fantastic. It looked amazing.
It was
one of the best moments of the season. And for the guy who runs the show that had that wonderful moment to say, I don't know about costumes. It gets in the way. You are not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. No one likes supernatural shit in their TV shows, dude. Because Game of Thrones isn't a thing. I've never heard someone so out of touch. Well, yeah, I have. Tim Burton. But, damn. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that because I can talk about that for a while. See, Naian Gonzalez Norvind, I guess that's how you say her name. She's been cast as the Mad Hatter's sister Alice, set to debut in the 3rd episode of Season 3. Alice was born with a powerful ability that she cannot control, an ability her brother believes is a gift, but that she has always seen as a curse. As such, she has spent much of her life alone, running from her brother, who will stop at nothing to be reunited in hopes of unleashing her gift on the world. This is, again, a strange choice, especially for someone who just said that supernatural shit was something he didn't want in his show. Mm-hmm. But I've never heard this. As far as I know, there's not a version of this this character in the comics or anywhere else. It sounds a little Black Canary from Birds of Prey to me.
Yeah.
The WB show from the 90s, kids, not the comic book.
That Birds of Prey TV show, that was... Oof. I have forced myself through some bad television shows in my time, and that was... That goes near the top of the list. That was really difficult.
I just bought it on DVD for like $10. Because I'm sick and I can't help myself.
It's horrible. Don't watch it, people.
And I want to confirm that the Watchtower set they used on that show was later reused in like season 10 of Smallville, and then again later reused on Arrow.
Wait a minute. But Black Canary's Watchtower set from Arrow was the same set as Black Canary's Clock Tower set on Arrow was the same one that they used for the Watchtower in Smallville.
I think it was.
That's incredible. I love that.
I don't know that it's true. I think it is. Like, when I was rewatching Smallville, it was after I'd seen Birds of Prey again, but it's still all been way too many years ago. And, like, when I was watching Smallville, I was like, oh my god, Birds of Prey would have just been canceled, and now suddenly Chloe is... Okay, look at that Watchtower. Yeah, that clock tower right there. And then I think it was the same, but, they reused Lex's mansion. Why not?
Exactly.
In Arrow.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone knows for sure. Let me know, but I haven't done the research on that fully. I'm just going by memory, and there's always so much news and so much stuff to prepare for this show. I just don't ever think about actually just looking into it.
Yeah. When
I have the free time.
Who has time for research? We're busy curating.
Yeah. So that doesn't sound good when you say it that way. So fans claim that they heard Jerome's laugh at the end of Season 2 when the monsters are coming out. That has been confirmed. We did hear his laughs. Ken Woodruff, executive producer of Gotham, said the laugh was really to keep the Joker alive, to keep Jerome and the threat of the Joker alive. We wanted to make sure fans don't feel that we're completely done with the mythology of the Joker, because we are 100% absolutely not. But it's going to be something we delve into right away at the top of the season. So, is that a confirmation that Jerome is the Joker?
It sort of sounds like it. I really don't know what direction they're going to go with this character. If they say that he is the Joker, then we're going to be looking at the notion that Batman, that Bruce Wayne will eventually grow up and become the Batman and deal with the Joker, who has been operating for 2 decades by that point, and he's going to be considerably older than Batman. I'm not sure if they want to set up that dynamic, but at the same time, to say that Joker was inspired by Jerome, that is also, it's kind of thin. Especially if they want to go the route of Jerome becomes like a human virus that infects people, and the Joker is born from that.
What Jason and I call the stabby virus.
Exactly. And I would definitely go for more costumes on Gotham.
I hated that so much.
Rather than a stabby virus.
So a Jessica Jones star has been cast in Gotham. Lots of Jessica Jones actors popping over to DC stuff, it looks like now. So Kieran Mulcair, he's going to be someone. We don't know who, but we've seen pictures now. He's dressed in white. He's got white hair. Some people are saying Solomon Grundy. Doesn't look like Solomon Grundy to me, though.
And he doesn't wear white. Now, if you can remind me, I can't remember who this actor played on Jessica Jones.
You remember the creepy guy who was basically screwing his sister?
Oh, the creepy brother guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
And he's going to be on Gotham in a white suit with white hair. I am stumped.
And the hair looks bad, too. It looks like a bad wig. It does not look good. I don't know who this is supposed to be. I'm sorry, Gotham people.
Yeah,
it just doesn't look good.
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this picture yet, so I'm not sure who it is that they're trying to go for.
I've seen the picture, and I'm not sure who it is they're going for. I don't know that cat. David Mazouz is saying that Bruce and Selina are going to be taking it to the next level. Bow chicka wow wow. The new season of Gotham. Yeah, it's a little weird to me. They're still a little too young for that. But then I watch Girl Meets World, and I'm like, yes, I like the fact that you're waiting, Riley. You shouldn't be girlfriend and boyfriend yet. You're not ready.
Honestly, I think I'm already tired of the will they, won't they aspect of Bruce and Selina's relationship. I don't like the fact that they were introduced so young and have become such a big part of each other's lives.
Well, this is what David Mazouz is saying. He says, it's great. I think that's exactly what Bruce needs right now. He's taking a step back from investigating at this point, and I think the thing is that he is growing up. The thing that showrunners Bruno and Danny always say is that Bruce is going to grow up as I grow up. I'm becoming a man, and so is Bruce. What comes with manhood, confidence, and romance, those are things that he has to explore with Selina. Okay.
I will be much more okay with it if he starts to fall into the Playboy lifestyle and into the having a girlfriend in Selina storyline. They can do that throughout the middle of the season, but then by the end of the season, he has to collect himself again, take a step back, regroup, and say, okay, now that I have done all that intentionally, so I know what it's like. Now I can identify it in the future as I become a superhero.
Oh yeah, this has to end in heartbreak.
Yeah, if
Selina.
It turns out that his backsliding into partying and getting involved with women was all pre-planned, premeditated as part of him training himself to become Batman. This is a next time theory right here. That is what will make that storyline work for me. If it turns out he planned the whole thing from the beginning, so he would know what it's like, get it out of his system, and then he won't have to worry about it in the future. Now
he's saying that Bruce needed Selina to guide him through some of the rougher aspects of Gotham. He says a sheltered kid who lived in Wayne Manor and didn't really know anything beyond those walls. But now he doesn't really need her for that anymore, but he's still hanging out with her. So the question is why? He says the answer is that they have this connection, and this connection will only grow bigger. That connection will lead Bruce to be determined to take things to the next level. That sounds a little rapey. Cameron Bikendova, the girl who plays Selina Kyle, says they're not preteens anymore. They're becoming young men and women. She's definitely weirded out by Bruce's new approach because he's starting to feel certain emotions that she's never felt before. We saw a little glimpse of it in season 2 when Silver St. Cloud was introduced. Selina was feeling a little jealous, but she didn't understand why. Now she's just overwhelmed by the different emotions that are happening. So yeah. I think it's fine for their age for them to be like maybe datey, but it's still weird to me that Selina and Bruce know each other at this young age. It's just weird. I have liked it in the past on the show. So much of Gotham for me is just trying to get past the weird shit they're doing with the characters.
Yeah, which it's something that we knew was going to happen from the beginning. When it became obvious that Bruce Wayne was going to be a main character in the story, then we had to expect a bit of Smallville syndrome, as I call it, which is if you're going to go back and tell the origin story of these characters and show their life before being a hero and their youth, the only way to keep people invested in the show is to bring in elements from the source material that we recognize. To use Smallville as an example, we're following Clark Kent through high school, and then through his post high school years, growing up, becoming a man, and heading towards becoming Superman. Yet before he becomes Superman, he fights every major Superman villain that he ever fought in the comics. So by the time he becomes Superman at the end of the series, he has no villains left. All he's got left are natural disasters because he's already defeated Brainiac, he's already defeated Metallo, Lex Luthor, Zod, Doomsday, Darkseid. These are all Superman villains, and none of them fought Superman.
Yeah,
they fought Clark Kent or the Blur. So now we've seen this journey, and if anyone, I'm reading the comics for Smallville season 11 right now, and I find myself thinking, yeah, but the thing that I keep on thinking and feeling while I'm reading them is, okay, yeah, you're Superman, but you've already had all your big battles, so what do you have left?
From what I understand, the big draw of Smallville season 11 comics is Batman.
he is pretty cool, that I will say. I consider that a definite missed opportunity. I think Smallville would have been even. It's not like it was a bad show. It wasn't great, but it certainly wasn't bad. It had a few rough seasons in the middle, but I think that the entire 10-season run as a whole would have been a lot stronger and turned out a lot more compelling if they had used Batman instead of Green Arrow.
I think they were going to, and they got Bat embargoed, but yeah. I was super pissed. Because I liked that Green Arrow. I was super pissed, though, that Adam Knight, the guy that showed up and started living in the apartment above Lana's bar or whatever it was. Yes, above the Talon. And that would have been so good for future Court of Owls stuff, the Talon. Anyway. But yeah, Adam Knight, that kid, like, dude, he was like, he's like dark and mysterious. I think wasn't it, what was his name? Ian Somerhalder? Is that right? God, it was on Lost.
Yeah, Somerhalder.
Yeah. It was him. He has those, like, I don't know, he's got like Batman-esque facial features to me. But, he was like mysterious and he'd been traveling the world, it seemed, and they could have, like, they could have just easily made him a Bruce Wayne character, and they didn't. Yeah. At the last minute, it was like, it was a clone from some sort of a Cadmus thing, and I was like, I don't give a shit about that. I felt like they were building it up to be Batman, and other fans were saying it too on the internet. They were like, oh my god, he's Batman, Adam Knight, Knight. Anyway.
They could have tried it. They could have tried, but it was still very obvious from the beginning when they introduced Green Arrow. Oh, billionaire playboy who is also a non-powered vigilante on a Superman show. They desperately wanted it to be Batman, but DC said no, so they went with the next best thing, which was bringing in Green Arrow. I can understand why they did it. I just wish that DC had loosened up a bit and allowed them to bring Bruce Wayne on. And they could have said, we promise he won't be Batman. He'll just be Bruce Wayne, who's really good at punching.
Right. I don't know. I kind of just wish they had, at the end of the day, I would have been okay if they just made it the John Glover show. Like, let's just have Lionel. It was just Lionel. Anyway, we're gonna move on.
It was so sad to see him go. Yes, moving on.
It was. On to Supergirl. Season 1 shows up September on Netflix, September 10th. Now, Andrew Kreisberg is talking a lot about Supergirl. I'm going to try to go through this rapid fire. If you have something to say it, Scott. But there's a lot of this.
I'm just stepping out of the way. Go for it.
Oh man, you don't have to step out of the way. I didn't mean it that way. We're so excited by everything we're doing that we can't wait for everybody to see it. We feel like the CW is going to be the beneficiary of everything that we've learned because we really feel like we've taken the show to the next level creatively. Well, I'm going to hold you to that, Andrew. On the musical episode, he says the musical will be awesome. It's going to be fun. It's funny. We have villains that can split the earth in half. We have villains that can run at the speed of light. What's so crazy about a villain that can make you think your friends are singing and dancing in front of you? When you put it like that. And it also makes me think they're going to do the Music Meister.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting as well.
That's exciting. That's exciting, and I really hope they do Neil Patrick Harris. I've said it before on this show. On Hecklin's Superman, he says that they've been fans of Tyler Hoechlin for years. He was their first choice. He says when we sat down with him, he is Superman, not just with the looks, but he's such a good guy. You just feel better when you're around him, which I think is part of the secret of Superman. He is that ideal, but not in an unattainable way. Superman should make you feel like you can do anything, even though he's the one that can do anything. And Tyler just has all of that in spades. He's also referenced their Superman as being more of the aw shucks, old school Superman than the Henry Cavill.
The big blue boy
How
scout.
did you put it? He's the big Cavill's not the big blue boy scout yet.
Oh yeah, Cavill is super sad man.
Super sad man. That's how you put it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get the feeling that Tyler's portrayal of Superman in Smallville is going to be that adapted big blue boy scout that I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've said
not the stereotypical hand, fists on his hips, smiling, "Hello, citizens."
Right.
It's not going to be that, but it's going to be a more modernized and acceptable version of that. This is going to be a Superman that makes us happy when we see him on screen, as opposed to what we get in the movies.
I'm pretty happy seeing him on screen in the movies, man. I'm like, yay, Superman's here. And it's Supergirl, not Smallville. Wishful thinking.
Did I say Smallville?
You said Smallville, yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, so, okay, on to Miss Martian. They said part of the reason we're bringing on Miss Martian is to get... I say they, this is Andrew Kreisberg. All Andrew Kreisberg. Part of the reason we're bringing on Miss Martian is to give John his own story this year and his own emotional ride. Meeting her and having this tie to his home world that he thought he would never have again. As he has to keep reminding people he's been here for 300 years and isolated for most of it. Last year with his relationship with Alex and his relationship with Kara, he started to come out of his shell a little bit and wasn't quite so afraid to show who he really was. So in getting to interact with Megan, I guess we're going to say it weird like that, he's going to have a whole new person with which to share his Martian experience. Now, traditionally, Young Justice, he presented the character as his niece. David Harewood seems to be implying a romantic interest. He put up a video of himself on Instagram with this bounce chicka wow music going, and he's like, "What's up, girl?"
If that's the direction they want to take it, then
no.
yeah, I guess we can't stop them. But I don't know.
It feels a little weird, doesn't it?
The character of Miss Martian, the character of Miss Martian has been presented in, I think, every iteration as either an actual family relation or adopting a family relation to Martian Manhunter. That if they try to make it something different, it's going to be hard to accept at first. But if they write it properly and they play it off right, then they might be able to swing it.
See, I always found it hard to. I always kind of disliked the character or the idea of the character. I haven't seen all of Young Justice. I've seen one episode, exactly one. But she wasn't even in it. I know. I got to get to it, but. I've
very good.
Never been able to really accept the idea that she was his niece, just because I'm like, what are the chances? What are the chances that his kinfolk show up? I don't know. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say that in the Smallville season 11 comics, I've just gotten to the point where they introduced McGann Morse.
Okay.
So we now have Miss Martian in the Smallville universe as well, according to the comics.
I love Philip Morris in the role of
as
John
his,
Jones.
As his, quote, niece.
Mm-hmm. I love Philip Morris in that role as Martian Manhunter. That was great casting. Anyway.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I was like, we need more of you. Oh. So Kreisberg talking about Kara's career. He says last year, as far as the DEO was concerned, she wasn't away, just another agent there. This year, she's going to be taking a little bit more of a leadership role and be driving the stories more. She's also not going to be Cat's assistant anymore. We resolved that at the end of season 1. What she decides to do at Catco is going to be a big change and an exciting change. She's usually flexing muscles to beat the crap out of aliens, and now she's going to be flexing career muscles as a young career woman with a little bit of authority and autonomy. I think that's going to be a lot more exciting for her as a character than just being a harried executive assistant. Mm-hmm. It also looks like I'm going to try to pop through some of this a little more. Like we said, Ian Gomez is going to be largely taking over the Cat Grant spot as Kara's mentor. They've got Cat in the first 2 episodes so far, and they thought that they were just going to lose her, and they were going to all part as friends. But Calista Flockhart loves the show enough to show up occasionally. Still don't know how much that's going to be going on. On the Kara and James relationship, he says part of whether or not that relationship can work makes up the first couple of episodes of the season. They definitely had a nice kiss at the end of last year, and when we pick up, they're both going to be separately and together dealing with whether they can make this relationship work. And we talked about this last week, but it's totally just obvious they're going to keep going back and forth on the will they won't they thing with them. So
yeah,
a kiss doesn't mean a relationship necessarily.
You can't ever have a workable relationship on a CW show. It always has to be at risk.
See, the unfortunate thing is that, most people say that with the CW. It's everything. It's every show. It's every TV show.
Yeah, true enough.
Pretty much. I mean, like you get Jim and Pam together in the office and the ratings decline. You have to keep that shit going.
And it's what killed Moonlighting. And I still don't understand what's so compelling about putting 2 characters on screen who obviously are head over heels in love, but they refuse to admit it to each other. And then once they do, they can't stay together. Mm-hmm. I've never been compelled by that particular storyline. Mm-mm. The storyline that shows up in every character-based drama. But it still keeps on happening. So they must be doing something right, and I'm just missing it. That has to be the answer.
Yeah. I mean, you got to throw in plenty of Save the Cats, man. So on Christopher Wood and his character Mon-El, Kreisberg says, we don't want to say too much about because we're doing our own version of Mon-El. Obviously, he's a character from the books. He's much beloved. Is he? And we're putting our own spin on it. What's interesting about Mon-El joining the show from Kara's perspective is that Kara has spent her entire life as someone who's been mentored first by her mother, then by the Danvers and Superman and Cat. She's always been somebody who's been taken care of in a way. Now with Mon-El, he's fresh off the boat. As far as he's concerned, living on another planet happened yesterday, and suddenly he's on Earth and everything he knew was lost, just the way it was for Kara. But she's had 12 years to process it, and she's struggling with it. So Kara is now the one in the mentor position. Ironically, she even says in an episode, I was sent to Earth not to be a hero, I was sent here to be Supergirl. I wasn't sent here to be Supergirl, I was sent here to protect Clark and take care of Clark. Now, in an odd way, with Mon-El here, I'm getting to fulfill that original mission that I had. So that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is, in just that one line, that's an aspect that I hadn't thought of. I hadn't looked at it from that perspective, but that makes a lot of sense. I like that.
Let's see. On the relationship between Kara and Alex, Kreisberg said that's a lot of what's happening in the first episodes. Kara is caught a little bit in the middle between Clark, who's her family, and Alex, John, Wynn, and James, which is this amazing family that she's made for herself. That's pretty interesting. He says there's definitely conflict that arises that puts Kara squarely in the middle. That's good. That's more reason than I've heard so far for Superman being on the show. As long as we're still making it about Supergirl, that's good. So I think we talked about this on this show before, but it looks like Wynn is going to be joining the DEO. He says that's going to allow him to be who he really is, which is the smart, creative one and the thinker.
It's also, if they want to start getting really creative, it will offer more opportunities for him to. He's going to have access to more technology, more toys, and all we need is the right dramatic right dramatic push, and we might be seeing the birth of a new Toyman, which I think that would be super compelling if they wanted to do that sort of a heel face turn with that character.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I think they should just make him, the I don't know, grown white version of the Japanese kid from the Jeff Loeb run.
Oh yeah,
Superman Batman.
Hero.
Yeah, Hero. He should have government, funds and just be making giant robots and all sorts of fun things. That would be absolutely interesting. They're going to be jumping deeper into Project Cadmus. Cadmus apparently rears its head pretty thoroughly in the opening episode. Fighting Cadmus makes up a large part of the first half of the season.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the main plot points. After dropping it so heavily in season 1, with them quite possibly still holding Jeremiah Danvers, they have to tie that one up sooner rather than later.
They said, "Do you feel like you found the right balance between the overarching stories you want to tell and the villains of the week?" Kreisberg says, "Yeah, we're so proud of Supergirl last season, but it reminded us a little bit of season 1 of Arrow. We knew there was a great show in there, and every once in a while we would make it great, but we didn't know how to do it consistently yet." I'm glad that Kreisberg admits stuff like that.
Yeah.
We really feel like this year, at least for us creatively, we've cracked the code and we're coming out of the gate strong. It's almost the same trajectory that we had on Arrow, where we start to figure it out towards the back half of season 1. We're coming out of the gate really strong with season 2. Season 1s are tough. There was also the added pressure of having the first female superhero on TV in a long time. There was a lot of expectation that the audience had, that the network had, that the studio had, and that we had for ourselves. It took a while to put all of that aside and just start telling the right stories. It's always been my experience that shows tell you what they want to be. Now with the stories that they're telling, Supergirl is finally becoming what it should be. I look forward to seeing this second season of Supergirl. I hope it gets really, really good. It was very uneven in the first season, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it had a lot of ups and downs, and I like the fact they recognize that, and it seems clear from what they're saying that their aim is to right the ship in season 2 as quickly as possible. But what I notice is conspicuously absent from all these questions and answers in this interview is any mention of how they're going to integrate with the CW Arrowverse.
I know.
Still a big mystery.
I think they're going to keep it separate, man. I really do. I think they're going to keep it as a separate multiverse situation. And I think that would probably be the best thing, at least for a while.
Maybe so. The more I think about it, yeah, if they keep it as a separate Earth, a separate universe that they can visit, they've already shown that they can cross over. Maybe not easily, but it can be done. So they can use some type of crossover to connect Supergirl with the others for their 4-part crossover, for the musical crossover. But they don't necessarily have to fully integrate it into the CW universe. If they're going to, and I think they should, they might just decide to wait until the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think the problem with integration is if you do it by going back in time, that's still not the same version of Kara that he met before. And now we're in a parallel reality. Or, now it made it to where season 1 and season 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of this show didn't happen. And season 1 and 2 of the show didn't technically happen the same way. And how did we get to this point? Because Kara should have just been able to help them. Blah, 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 blah. You start running into those problems. But now that they've crossed over to an alternate Earth, and the Flash is doing this regularly now with different, Harry and Jesse went home at the end of last season of The Flash like they were just getting in their car and leaving. Like, they were just walking across the park to their apartment complex. Like, that's how easily they were just switching Earths.
Yeah, if they make crossing over from National City to Earth 1 as easy as they can cross over from Earth 1 to Earth 2, then that might be good enough. If they're not on the same Earth, but they're just a phone call away, so to speak, then that might still be workable. That might be close enough to make it all gel.
And what? This is the way TV works anyway. Storytelling in general. Once they do it the first time, they can figure it out. It's just like Mirror Mirror in Star Trek. Like, it was a freak accident that they had to recreate, and they only had a very small window to get back to their universe because that builds tension. And then, DS9, they have personal transporters that just bring them over to the other universe.
Yeah. It started happening so frequently and so easily that I'll go ahead and throw her under the bus. My wife started to really dislike the Mirror Universe episodes because they just kept on happening and they felt forced.
I didn't feel like they were forced. I enjoyed the hell out of them, though. I did. What I didn't enjoy was the continuity was off in them. Like, the Klingons don't have cloaking technology in the next episode. They've always had cloaking. Why? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Anyway. Over to The Flash. Did you see the season 3 Time Strikes Back promo?
That promo I have not seen.
Okay, I don't know exactly what's happening in here, but it looks like there's some sort of a cult. There are people in robes kneeling, it looks like to me. Not a whole lot of new stuff in this one. Just, showing how Barry screwed up the timeline a little bit. We do have a fun little piece of Cisco saying, a universe where I'm not rich is glitched. Todd Lasance has been, I guess, officially cast as the rival. A few months ago, or last month, they showed this picture of someone they didn't. It was leaked, and we didn't talk about it. But you could very obviously see this kid in a similar Flash costume. And they've now said that it's going to be the rival, which is the Golden Age Reverse Flash, Edward Claris, which is a weird choice.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. But I'm down, man. I'm down.
Yeah, well, as with Arrow, season 3 was their season of weird, where things started to go a little bit off-center. So we might just have to expect the same thing here.
So far, Arrow disappointed me off and on all through seasons 1 and 2. Seasons 2 really disappointed me a lot. It kind of really got ridiculous for me. Not ridiculous in a this would never happen way, just this is terrible storytelling way. I think, looking back on it, I don't like when characters aren't the characters. I've always hated episodes where they don't look the same or something. Like when I used to watch Beetlejuice, the cartoon Beetlejuice, I hated episodes where he was like dressed as a cowboy or something. Because I was like, no, that's not what you wear.
That's not Beetlejuice. We want the stripes. We want the black and the white and give me what I fell in love with in the first place. Don't go changing it with funny costumes. Mm-hmm.
And we would, in season 2 of Arrow, we had, Roy who was with the Mirakuru and the whole thing. And it seemed like we kind of fell into that a lot. But anyway, if they they didn't do that for me in season 2 of The Flash. They're just good. They're just really good. I've enjoyed the shit out of the show, and I hope they keep that up. Popping over, moving forward. Do you have anything? Sorry.
No, only the fact that they're clearly taking lessons that they learned during the production of the first 2-3 seasons of Arrow, and they're applying those lessons to The Flash, which is why I think the first 2 seasons of The Flash have consistently been so much better than what Arrow has been giving us.
Yeah. Helbig talks briefly, does talk about how the interesting dynamic with Dr. Alchemy and... gosh, what's the other person's name? I'm gone. Sorry. Are
you talking about
Savitar?
Alchemy and
Savitar. No, Alchemy and Savitar. Sorry, gosh, I was like, no, I know there's another speedster. What? He says, we're trying to have the powers that they both possess play off of each other. And Flash is like, oh, I have to catch this guy and take him down. Crap, now there's this other guy, Dr. Alchemy, who has these transmutation qualities via the Philosopher's Stone. You have to learn what he does with this stuff and how the both of them are coexisting. He likens it to flanking. That's pretty interesting, I guess. He also says that in Season 2 they got a little too dark. The last 5 or 6 episodes were pretty dark. Zoom in general was dark. It got even darker than we probably anticipated, so we're making a conscious effort to go back more toward the tone of Season 1. I'm good with the tone of Season 2 as well, though, man. But whatever. He's not listening. On to Arrow.
They just have to make sure they don't go as dark as Arrow got. That's all I have to be careful of.
Yeah. Did you see the promo for Legacy 501 of Arrow?
Yes.
Not a lot new here. Felicity saying like, "Oh, you've just been wondering when everything's gonna get back to normal, but it's not gonna get back to normal." And there's a shot of the Black Canary statue, and looks like someone's trying to kidnap the mayor, which is Ollie, and Thea doesn't seem very worried about it. She says Ollie can take care of himself. We have a quick shot of the Tobias Church character. There's not really much other than that. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Not a whole lot to it. Just more whetting our appetite for what's to come.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try to do rapid fire through this Phil Klemmer interview here. For Legends of Tomorrow, on Mick Rory, he says, "We never want to rehabilitate him fully, and we never want to take him. We never want to take away his edge. He's been widowed effectively, having lost his partner. I don't know if Mick knows where he belongs. It's not like he can go back to Central City in 2016, but he doesn't belong on the ship either. So there's a simmering resentment. So basically, he's deciding that he's just going to stay there and punish them." On Nick Haywood,
I'll stay here, but it doesn't mean I like you guys.
Yeah. On Nick Haywood, he says Nick Haywood is the first non-superhero on the show. The fact that we inherited all these characters from other shows were great, but we didn't really have an origin story to tell. We want to meet a guy that nobody knows. He doesn't even know that he is destined to become a superhero, because that gives you the first act of the Spider-Man movie. Tobey Maguire was like, "Oh my God, I can do this, but I'm not great at doing it. I'm using it for selfish purposes, but should I use it for good?" So that's the kind of character they're bringing in with Nick Haywood in Citizen Steel. And with Amaya, or the new / old Vixen, we wanted somebody who came from a different generation. We wanted people who force our legends to look at themselves in a different light. She's from the 40s. She's from the golden age of the JSA. She's the greatest generation. She is of the JSA that stopped Hitler. It's like having a grandfather who got off a landing vehicle at Normandy, and I'm trying to complain to him about my latte is too cold, and he's like, "Oh, yeah?"
I like that one.
Yeah. They asked with the JS. This is KSiteTV.com. They did part 1 of an interview a couple weeks ago. They said, with JSA, are we going to see more? We're going to be seeing them in the 40s, or is there a team that exists now? And Phil says that is going to be part of our season-long mystery that will have a strong intersection with the Legion of Doom. We didn't just bring them in because we thought it would be cool. They are tied up deeply into the DNA of our season-long mystery and our struggle with the Legion of Doom. They said, "What's the over-under on us seeing a floating Darth Vader helmet for the Legion of Doom?" And Phil Klemmer says that's very slim.
and that is sad.
I kind of want to see it.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah. What can you say about to sell the new season to someone who might have dropped off during season 1 and might need convincing? He says episode 201 is effectively a new pilot. That's really the joy of the show. It was never designed to be the traditional network television model, which is the running in place sleight of hand trick. Wow. I've rarely heard someone actually admit that running in place sleight of hand trick is how TV works. I've always known it, but I've never heard someone actually admit it. A showrunner, no less. When we blew up the Vanishing Point.
I like that they are saying, yeah, we did a season of that show, and now we're going to do a different show. It's the same people and a lot of the same concepts, but make no mistake, this is a new show.
Yeah. He says, when we blew up the Vanishing Point, we blew up the conceit of Season 1. I'll just say, as writers, it's such a joy writing the second season because it feels so fresh and new. Oh, excuse me. Does Rip Hunter know his purpose? Now that everything involving the Time Masters and Vanishing Point are over. The thing about Rip is that we gave him a really, really heavy backstory. We killed his family. We put him in charge of saving the world. We then had the institution that had sworn his allegiance to prove corrupt. Arthur Darvill is a really, really fun guy. We just want to unburden him so we can access other aspects of himself as a performer. But what do you do after you've saved the world? It's a really interesting question, and we want to see that version of Rip. He also talks about how Captain Rip Hunter has always had a little asterisk beside it, and in Season 2 the asterisk gets a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So it looks like Rip may not be the captain for long. It's going to be much more democratic in terms of the leadership. He says they've saved the friggin' world. They never listened to Rip in the first place, but now they're like, you know what? You're not the boss of me.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they go in that direction because the constant Rip giving orders that end up being not really the best was getting tiresome by the end of the season. So I'm hoping that it becomes more of a team rather than a dictatorship, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm. Now jumping over to there has been rumors about Young Justice Season 3, and they're having Netflix meetings. Peter David has basically just cut through all the bullshit, and this is what he had to say. I had lunch with Greg Weisman a few weeks ago, and he said that Netflix is seriously considering ordering a third season because they're impressed with how much people are watching it. So if you want to make it happen, keep on doing it.
Dave.
I know. So yeah, keep watching Young Justice, and that's the best thing you can do. It's not said yes. Did you watch the Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders trailer, the new one?
Yes, I did.
That shit was awesome.
I am. It was. I agree with it. Now, I think was it you and Jason that talked about Adam West not sounding quite like he did, like he was doing his best. Adam West doing Batman.
Oh, I don't think I said that. Maybe Jason said that. I don't remember. But my statement is just that it's clear that he's a lot older than he was. Like he sounds rough. I'll take it, and I love Adam West,
which is to be it's to be expected. So, but we're still going to roll with it because this is a return to that era, which for people like us, this is going to be an exceptionally entertaining film to watch.
Mm-hmm. And I like where they couldn't get people who sounded like the originals, which I think this is a huge missed opportunity. And maybe they have done it and they're just keeping it under wraps. They should totally have Mark Hamill doing the Joker here, but not his Joker. I saw him on David Letterman a few years ago, and he does a phenomenal Cesar Romero. Like, pitch perfect. And it's not until I heard him do that I realized how close his Joker is to the Cesar Romero Joker.
Yeah.
It's just a darker shade of that Joker. So I absolutely think they should have had him playing the Joker. But what they've kind of done, it sounds like I've only heard the laugh of the Joker and the Penguin making a terrible pun, but it sounds like Filmation.
It does a bit, yeah.
And they've clearly also done they've gone to more of the comic book Commissioner Gordon with the white mustache and everything. He kind of sounds like Neil Hamilton, but I'm guessing his family didn't go along with those rights. They didn't want his likeness there.
Mm-hmm. I would assume so. They'll get as close as they can. I'm certain. I'm just excited for it.
Yeah. I saw someone pointed out that like some of the frames were like it looks like they were purposely backwards to like crack at the Filmation, to have like the Robin symbol backwards as they're running.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's in there. I can't imagine them doing that accidentally at this point.
Yeah, that's not the sort of mistake they'd make.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And here's the official. We haven't talked about this. Here's the official synopsis for the movie. It's back to the 60s as Batman and Robin spring into action when Gotham City is threatened by a quartet of Batman's most fiendish foes, Penguin, the Joker, Riddler, and Catwoman. This time, the four supervillains will have combined their wicked talents to hatch a plot so nefarious that the dynamic duo will need to go to outer space and back to foil their arch enemies and restore order to Gotham City. It's a truly fantastic adventure that will pit good against evil, good against good, evil against evil, and feature two words that exponentially raise the stakes for both sides. Replicator Ray. Mm-hmm. Holy multiplication tables. I saw someone posit that they were going to do the multiple versions of Catwoman because of the Replicator Ray. Mm-hmm. And maybe even the multiple versions of the Riddler. You have the John Astin version of the Riddler, as well as the mm-hmm. Oh, well, yes, let's do that. And I'm hearing through the grapevine, they haven't announced it officially, but they have already recorded a sequel, as far as I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
they're planning ahead.
Yeah, like, we gotta get this shit done. These cats aren't getting any younger.
That's where they're going to bring in Egghead, King Tut, and the 60s version of Mr. Freeze.
I would be ecstatic.
Oh, boo, boo. Show's over.
All right. So, Batman the Telltale series on the video game front is getting rave reviews. I haven't had a chance to play it. I don't have anything to play it on, even. If we have listeners out there who have played it and want to tell us how it is, because we need to, this has to be reviewed on the show, right? If you guys want to help us out, send in a recording of yourself giving a review. Use a mic or your phone recorder, whatever. Send it to us on Facebook, facebook.com/DC on screen, or dconscreen@gmail.com. Man, we'll put it in the show. That sound good?
That won't be me. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I'm asking you like you're Jason. That sound good, buddy? Huh? So, onto our contest. We're running a contest. For every 10 5-star reviews, written reviews that we get on iTunes, we're going to have a drawing, and the person who wins the drawing, one person out of 10, gets a trade paperback of their choosing, or a Blu-ray or DVD of their choosing for $15 or under. We had one review this week, 5-star review from Jacob Raspberry of the Screen Explosion podcast. Is a buddy of ours, and since I, short-sightedly didn't say that friends are excluded from this, I guess you wormed your way in, Jake. So, Jacob Raspberry says, better than Blue Beetle and Booster Gold combined. These guys are awesome, serving up the best DCU news every week. Thank you very much, Jacob. Their show is awesome, Screen Explosion. You need to go check that out. They do movie and television news, and they are fun, and I like them. So you should listen to them. We are 2 people away from our drawing. So guys, go give us those 5-star written reviews if you want to be included. I think that wraps it up, man. Plug your shit, Scott.
Yeah, I've got nothing else. What's that? Everyone go check out the Next Time the Comic Book Television Prediction Podcast. You can find it on SoundCloud. You can find it at planetrisecreative.com/podcasts. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter, Next Time Pod, or just send an email to nexttime@planetrisecreative.com.
All right, and thank you, man, so much for being a part of the show, and you did a great job. You contributed really good stuff to this episode, and we're sorry that Jason couldn't be here with us, because we love having Scott on anyway, whether Jason's here or not. But, dude, thank you so much for coming in.
I'll give Jason a chance to be on his own bonus episode of Next Time, so it can be even with you, and you guys don't have to compete for my attentions. But I appreciate the chance to come on. It was a bunch of fun. I like being able to contribute, and I like listening to you guys so much. It's a treat to be able to join in.
Man, we love having you, man. And I listen to your show. I think it's a fine show. You guys should go check that out, man. And as for us, you can find every episode of DC On Screen on iTunes and Stitcher and DCOnScreen.com. Actually, I don't think you can find every episode on those things anymore. We've gone too far. We have too many episodes. You can find every episode at DCOnScreen.com. And I also post a link to all the different podcasts that I guest on, including Scott's Next Time podcast. on DCOnScreen.com. We are probably going to be putting up a merch store in the next week or two. We've had a bunch of requests for that, so be on the lookout for that. We're a proud member of the Giant Size Team Up Network, GiantSizeTeamUp.com. That's it. That's all I've got. Until next week, keep some DC on your screen. I got nothing. I got nothing else. Bye.
It is not for me to know.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.